All right, welcome. Today we're diving into one of the most high-yield topics you'll ever encounter, both for your exams and on the wards, acute kidney injury. We're going to start right at the beginning, how to define it and how to stage it.
Okay, let's dive in. Here's our game plan. We'll start with why the name changed, which is actually a really important clinical point. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of diagnosis with the rule of three, uncover a major pitfall called the creatinine blind spot, and finally, wrap up with the simple 1-2-3 system for staging.
So, first things first, why did we stop saying acute renal failure and start saying acute kidney injury? Well, it wasn't just for fun. It actually reflects a huge shift in how we understand this disease.
For the longest time, the term was acute renal failure, but we moved to acute kidney injury for a really critical reason. What the research showed us is that even tiny little bumps in creatinine, nowhere near what you'd call failure, are strongly, and I mean strongly, linked to increased morbidity and mortality. The word injury just does a much better job of capturing that entire spectrum of dysfunction, from a small hit to a complete collapse.
So, how do we make an official, standardized diagnosis? We use the KDIGO criteria. And you can remember this for your exams with a super simple trick I call the rule of three. The diagnosis of AKI is made if your patient meets any one of these three criteria, okay? So first, an absolute increase in their serum creatinine of at least 0.3 milligrams per deciliter within any 48-hour window. Second, a relative increase, where the creatinine goes up to 1.5 times their baseline value within the last week. Or third, their urine output drops, specifically less than 0.5 mLs per kilo per hour for at least 6 hours straight.
Now, this is a critical point and a classic exam question, so listen up. You only need one of these criteria to pull the trigger and diagnose AKI. A patient can have a totally stable creatinine, but their urine output tanks. That's AKI. Or their urine output is great, but their creatinine just bumps up by 0.3. Guess what? That is also AKI. Just one is enough.
But there's a huge clinical pitfall when we rely only on creatinine, and it's something I call the creatinine blind spot. If you can understand this concept, you'll understand why we're so often a step behind in diagnosing the injury itself.
Let's just draw this out and it'll make perfect sense. Imagine a graph with time on the bottom axis. Okay, now let's say a kidney insult happens. Maybe the patient got really hypotensive. Right at that moment, their actual kidney function, their GFR, plummets. It drops immediately. But serum creatinine is a waste product. It has to accumulate in the blood to be measured. And that process takes time, usually about 24 to 48 hours before the level rises enough for us to see it on a lab draw.
And that gap in time, that is the blind spot. It's this dangerous delay where the kidney has already taken a hit, but our main lab marker is still playing catch-up. We're essentially flying blind while the kidney is in trouble.
And this is exactly why we are so obsessed with hourly urine output in the ICU. A drop in urine output is often our very first warning sign that something is wrong. It's incredibly sensitive. Now, the catch is that it's nonspecific. Lots of things can make a drop, but it should always get your attention. It's our canary in the coal mine.
Okay, so once we've made the diagnosis of AKI, the very next step is to figure out how severe it is. For that, the KDIGO framework gives us a nice and simple 1-2-3 system.
We're actually going to draw this staging table out, because this is something you absolutely have to know for your exams. So on our whiteboard, let's make 3 columns, one for the stage, one for the creatinine criteria, and one for the urine output criteria.
All right, let's fill in stage 1. This is the mildest form. For the creatinine, you're looking at a rise to 1.5 to 1.9 times the patient's baseline, or that absolute 0.3 rise we talked about for the diagnosis, that also puts you in stage 1. For urine output, it's less than 0.5 mils per kilo per hour for a stretch of 6 to 12 hours.
Now for stage 2, things are obviously getting more serious. The creatinine doubles, so you're looking at an increase of 2.0 to 2.9 times baseline. And notice, for stage 2, there's no absolute number. It's all relative. The urine output criteria also gets worse. It's that same low rate, but now it has to be for 12 hours or even longer.
And finally, stage 3. This is basically failure. The creatinine criteria are a big jump. Either it triples from baseline, or it hits an absolute value of 4.0 or higher, or, and this is key, the patient is started on kidney replacement therapy, like dialysis. The urine criteria are also much more severe. output is now less than 0.3 mLs per kilo per hour for a full 24 hours, or the patient is completely anuric, no urine at all for 12 hours.
So here's the completed grid. This is the perfect time to pause and grab a screenshot. This table is pure, high-yield information you'll use constantly. And just remember, you always stage the patient based on whichever criteria, creatinine or urine output, puts them in the more severe stage.
Let's just hammer this one point home because it's a favorite on exams. If a patient is started on dialysis for an acute kidney problem, they are automatically, by definition, stage 3 AKI. It does not matter what their creatinine or urine output is in that exact moment. Starting renal replacement therapy means stage 3, period.
Okay, let's wrap this up with the absolute must-know points. First, memorize the 0.3 rule. A creatinine bump of just 0.3 in 2 days is AKI. Got it? Second, watch that urine output like a hawk. It's your earliest warning sign. And third, if a patient gets started on any kind of kidney replacement therapy, they are immediately stage 3.
So now you can confidently walk onto the wards, define AKI, and stage it. But what's the very first thing you do when you see it? Well, in our next explainer, we're going to break down the causes using that classic framework you need to know: pre-renal, intrinsic, and post-renal. I'll see you there.